Don't worry, I have not gone completely mental. I'm not moving away from the classics and the Volkswagen stuff. However, my daily hack is a RAV4, and it's got an intermittent power loss issue. Now, my mechanic man reckons that is down to the EGR valve. I'm not completely sold on that idea, and I've actually got a wager for a bottle of beer that it might not be. But we're going to take it off the RAV today. We're going to split it apart, clean it up, and then put it back together and put it back on. And fingers crossed it'll fix the problem. I'd actually like it to fix the problem and give him a bottle of beer. That'd be cool. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Obviously it's not a Volkswagen today, it's a Toyota RAV4, but it might actually help the Volkswagen guys just to see what an EGR valve is, because the chances are if you've got a 1.9 TDI, you're going to get in a blocked EGR valve, because my Sharan's had it, my T5's had it, they've all had it, and all my friends have had it, so it's a common fault. And once you see what an EGR valve is and how simple it is really, it makes it a lot less scary, and it might be something that you're prepared to have a go at, because I say the EGR valve is a relatively simple thing. It just sounds quite scary because all mechanics go, ooh, £1 million to fix that. Come on, let's get on with it. Okay, Toyota D4D engine. The first thing I want to show you is the MAF sensor, or mass airflow sensor. It's located on top of the air filter, and it's a dead easy job to do yourself. So just got the clip and the wires, just take these off. These are quite stiff to get off. Just press it down. Little screwdriver lever just to help. So disconnect the wires, then it's just 2 screws. And that is it. So if you have to replace it, it's how to do it. If you have to clean it, this is what you're cleaning. So basically in there, I hope the camera will see that, there's a tiny little wire there, and a little tiny wire in there. I wouldn't recommend doing anything mechanical to it. I mean, you could possibly get a toothbrush very gently on there. The wire is very, very delicate. Mine was black bright before I did this, and basically I got some cleaner. This one's air sensor cleaner, anything will do, it's just MAF sensor cleaner. Give it a damn good squirt, and it should make it look like clean wire again. And I say, to clean it up is dead easy, and to replace it, even easier. Right, like a plonker, I just put the wire back on, and I'm going to say, we've got to take that off. So to get to the EGR valve, first thing we're going to do is take this back off again. Get that out of the way. Yeah, you can stay there then. Okay, there's 2 clips at the front. I'm going to take the top of the filter off. And if you're replacing your air filter, it's that easy. No trouble. In the bottom here are 2 10mm bolts. So if you've got a long extension and a ratchet, you could use a spanner, just a bit more tricky. Turn the camera around. If you're going to be replacing your boost pressure solenoid or boost pressure valve switch, whatever they call it, but it's generally a solenoid on eBay, etc., this is how to do it. So that's the new one. What's a replacement refurbished one? Basically, you're removing 3 little filter off. Take 2 pipes off. Can be sticky. Gently use it with a screwdriver. Give it a tug at the same time. If you're lucky, oh, that won't get off dead easy. And then you've got 2 10mm bolts. Oh, nearly. And because I'm a complete plonker, I've got the wire off, so we're going to do that now. Hey, there we go. Now I actually paid for a replacement one. This is the original, and that is supposed to be a refurbished one that she sent me incorrectly. So I don't believe that's original. And I ain't accepting a refurbished one. But we might give it a try all the same. There's a little rubber ring on there which you'll need to take off if it doesn't come off with the little filter thing. And hopefully you can just refit it as the other one came off. Now this has got slots in it, which makes it slightly easier to fit. So we can put the first bottom bolt in. You can see what you're doing, which is nice. There we go. Oh, that's a rubbish fit. I don't know whether that's genuine, not in a million years. Or at least the cage isn't. Might put a bit of, oh look at that, that's rubbish. So that's going to need something in there to make that fit tighter. That one, however, is much tighter. How bizarre. So I could just nip the end of the pipe off. It's obviously swelled up. Could even be the problem. So don't drop this into the engine bay, because you'll end up with scratchy arm syndrome. Certainly when all the air filters attached. And don't forget to plug your plug back on. Easy as that. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any replacement pipe that was the same diameter, so this one looks it's about a mil or two smaller. However, this one is the same diameter as that, so it's kind of a which one do you go for? This is the original pipe. I basically put a bit of tape around it and the smallest tubular clip I could find just so I could clamp it down. So I appreciate both of these options are a bodge. However, I'm at short notice in the garage and it's all I could find, so I'm actually going to go with the original pipe just to keep as much of the original size bore as we can, and it should be okay for now until I get around to sorting it out. Just want to try and prevent any air leaks. Well, at least I'm testing to see if there's a fault, or hopefully the fix. Okay, let's remove this EGR valve. So the first thing to do is this is the wires. It's quite hard to get to with the camera here. Squeeze it. That comes off as easy as that. Next, it's where it gets a little bit messy. So, get a pair of pliers, pencil. We've got to remove these pipes. Hopefully they're not too hardly stuck on. Yeah, there we go. I've got to say the pencil's not a very good fit for that pipe. It's a bit fatter than I expected. Okay, that's them off and blocked up. Next you're going to need 12mm socket extension. And there's 2 bolts down the side, I believe. Wow, that's tight. Ooh, crikey. Not sure if that was a bolt cracking or my ratchet. Got his big brother out. It'll go in there. Yep. Easy. I did say bolts earlier, they are in fact a pair of nuts. There's a third nut at the bottom. Unfortunately it's quite tricky to get to because that one's a bit too big and that one's a bit too weak, so kind of a medium length jobby. Hopefully we can get to it. You can't really see it, that's the issue. Okay, don't lose the nut, don't lose the nut. Oh, don't lose the bolt. Now there is a gasket on here, I'm not sure if you can see that down there. It's seated on the engine block or on the head at the minute. I'm going to leave that there. I don't want to disturb it any more than I have to, and I haven't got a replacement. Obviously normally would sit in between that and the block. But that is our EGR valve. So we're going to take that apart and see if we can clean it out. Just using an 8mm socket to remove the 3 bolts. You may have noticed on older diesels, when you put your foot down, you get a big puff of black smoke coming out the back of the exhaust. Because what this basically does is it takes the exhaust gases, the smoky gases that come out of the engine after it's burnt the diesel, and it recirculates some of that back through the engine. So effectively it burns twice and it takes out some of that, that oil and nastiness out of it. And that's why you get less smoke, and that's what it's basically for, is to reduce emissions. Some are mechanical, some are electric. This is an electric one. And what it basically does is it pushes down on the plunger and it just diverts between the 2 openings basically. Now this one's got a, I wouldn't say it's sticky. There's a slight grate to it, so I'm not convinced yet this is the issue, but we're going to clean it all the same, see what I can get out there. To clean this out, I've actually got a bottle of EGR cleaner. I didn't buy it specifically for this job, it's something I've got left over, and there's probably about a third of a can left, so we're going to use that in here. See if we can get a toothbrush in there and probably melt. That's feeling pretty smooth actually, so oh no, I might be owing Steve a beer after all. That feels a bit better now. Just going to put a bit of WD on the top, make sure it's all free in there. Let's get it all back together again. I think that'll do pig. Let's go and pop him back on. Some coolant has actually weeped out of here, you can probably see it down there possibly. It's not a lot, it's not enough to worry about I don't think, but it might be worth just checking to make sure you've got plenty of coolant in your system once it's all back together again and it's been running for a minute or so. So clean the face of the valve. Just going to do the same on the gasket. Try and make sure there's nothing on there that's going to cause any air leaks. Now when you do this, it's always worth running your finger over it, off any sealing surfaces like that, because you may think the rag gets it off, but sometimes it'll leave grip behind and you can't feel it with a rag, but your finger can. I'm going to start with the bottom one first. So I think that'll be the trickiest one. Get these back on without losing it in the engine, or the engine tray. Nip it up tight, but I'm not going to swing on it, if you know what I mean. Try and do them equally as well if you can. So, nip all three and then go around and tighten all three separately. Coolant pipes back on. Plug him back in. Try and mop up some of this excess water if I can get to it. Filter on. Fingers crossed. While we're at it, I just thought I'd show you. I'm not sure where my coolant level started before I did this job, but it's just above the low point, so I'm just going to top it up now anyway. So if you've got the proper coolant, just chuck it in.